of the hate crimes in this country.
That is out of order, and that is definitely not accurate. I am the chair. You will have to respect me or leave, number one.
You have absolutely no standing and no privilege to exclude a member and ask them to leave. She is duly elected, and you do not possess the powers to force her to leave this committee.
I'm going to continue because I couldn't get a point out before you called irrelevance on me, Madam Chair, and I know that you may not like the facts of the matter, but that doesn't mean that you can censor a member and in any way ask a member of the House of Commons to leave a committee. I think that's out of line, and I'm going to put that on the record.
We're heading down to Salmon River just to make a couple of intros. Look way up. Hey gang, what's up? Just Aaron right here, Canadian Looney, coming to you from the meandering Salmon River. We've got these structures here that were built to cross the bridge for the railroad. They never finished the railroad though. Kept Guys Row off the map. Anyhow, let's get into the politics. We're going back to a committee meeting that is being chaired by the most incompetent chair, Lena Diep. This old bag is from West Halifax and totally incompetent, can't run the meeting. Conservatives are just trying to get answers, and when you can't get answers, send in Larry Brock, Michelle FERRERI, Melissa LANTSMAN, fighting the good fight, trying to get answers for Canadians. It's a tough deal. What are you going to do? Let's get into the video. Check this out. Canadians need to see it to actually, and this is a long video, but it has to be so you see it in context. The Liberal playbook is on full display, covering up for Trudeau's, his dirty WEF agenda. Anyways, let's get into this. Let's take a peek at the video.
Ms. FERRERI.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And listen, I'm going to take people back to the summer. July 31st, 2024, Status of Women Committee sat. And there's a real overlap right now in terms of what's happening in Status of Women and the justice failures in this country. Because an emergency meeting was called in July. So for people who don't know, committees don't sit in the summer, but this emergency meeting was called because Stats Can released these shocking statistics. Again, right at 2015, when Justin Trudeau came into power, all we've seen is this rapid increase of crime across this country. Total sexual assaults up 75%. Sexual violations against children, which is pertinent to this study of Bill 270, is up 119%. Forcible confinement or kidnapping is
Point of order.
11%.
I guess I was going to say point of relevance before you say your. What is the relevance of that to asking for the extension for 30 days to reiterate one last time, because I will not do it again. I've done it on and on. If we don't have an extension, the bill cannot proceed to be studied at all. Point final. That's it. Do we want to study the bill or do we not?
Yeah.
As the chair, I am asking the committee, and you can vote on it. You either want to study it or you don't.
So, Madam Chair, I am very relevant, and that is exactly what I've been trying to say. 100% we want to study the failed justice in this country. 100% we want to do that. So why am I talking about what happened in July 31st, 2024? Because the exact same thing is happening in this Justice Committee. We brought forward survivors and victims, which is exactly what we want to do. So that the Liberals have gotten hung up on one witness rather than the meat and potatoes of this actual bill.
Point of order.
Mr. McGregor, yes.
Sorry, Madam Chair, and I hate interrupting someone, but I need to call relevance. The question before the committee right now is whether we agree to a 30-day extension or not. All arguments and comments should be in support of that. We should not be talking about what other committees did during the summer. I've got great tales about what the Public Safety Committee did during the summer too. But the point...
Mr. McGregor, get out of here. You're such a pansy.
Before the committee right now is whether we agree to a 30-day extension on Bill C-270 Madam Chair, I would ask that you enforce relevance because I want to see commentary specifically for or against that particular point.
Point of order.
And again, you don't have to agree on the extension. We can simply vote on it and move on.
Point of order.
Mr. Brock.
It's not incumbent on any member of this committee to opine on relevance, as my friend, my colleague, Ms. Ferreri, is just starting her intervention. There's no time limit. There's no document that specifies that relevant points must be immediately addressed by a member, or they can only speak for a limited amount of time, and a percentage of that all has to be on relevant points. There's always a degree of latitude exercised by chairs of all committees, and in my view, because majority of us are all lawyers, relevance is very subjective. It's not an objective term. And I'm sure at some point in time, Ms. Ferreri, if she is given the opportunity for a fulsome intervention without unnecessary points of order, will loop it around to relevant issues germane to Mr. Maloney's motion. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I guess because we have all practiced law for some period or another, the judge also has the ability to determine whether it's relevant or not. And I know that is not relevant. So, Ms. Ferreri, either speak on the 30-day or please cease to speak on that so I can give it to another member, because we need to get back to relevance.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Mr. Can you turn your name around?
Nader.
Mr. Nader, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
How do you not know Mr. Nader?
Yeah. It's okay. I've only been here 9 years. It's all good. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I am temporary substitute to this committee. I just want to point out that you did mention that we've all practiced law. Just want to clarify, I have not practiced law. I'm not a lawyer. I come from a political science background, so I just wanted to clarify for the record, that I'm not a lawyer, have not been called to the bar, do not practice law. I just want to make sure that's clarified for the record, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the clarification. I remember the first couple of years we were on this committee, there were a number of members clarifying things with that. So thank you. And welcome as a substitute. All right, so where do we go back to? Ms. Ferreri, go ahead. Are you a lawyer, by the way?
I also am not a lawyer.
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit leeway then, but a little bit doesn't mean a lot.
Okay. No, I would love to be a lawyer. Listen, it's interesting they don't want this brought up. And it's obvious they don't want it brought up because it's the same thing, and it is very relevant to what we're going to talk about. And since I have the floor, I'll bring it up. The NDP and the Liberals don't want to talk about what happened in July because it was an absolute disgrace to victims and survivors. And this bill is about victims and survivors. And so, of course, we want to study this bill. So what happened? Well, the same thing that's happening right now. We called an emergency meeting to talk about these stats, and a Liberal member of Parliament hijacked survivors and victims with a motion on abortion. It was the most disgusting, appalling thing we've ever seen. We had the victims and survivors and their parents in tears, screaming, yelling, leaving. The Liberal member threatening on camera, saying, I will bring up an abortion motion every single time just so we don't have to talk about the failures of Justin Trudeau and what he's done of crime in this country. And that's the reality. And why is that relevant? Because it doesn't matter if the sponsor of the bill comes to testify. What matters is that we have experts and victims and survivors to come to this committee in justice to testify about these stats. This is not made up, Madam Speaker. And this is the Committee of Justice. Nobody at home cares about who said what, when, and how. They care about changing the law to protect children in particular, our most vulnerable, and women. And we have an epidemic in this country under this Prime Minister who is a blatant fake feminist. So So what the Liberals are doing here is they're stuck on one piece of this conversation. They're stuck that they want one witness to testify, and that has nothing to do with the meat and potatoes.
Point of order. Point of order. Now we are off topic, because the very simple point of this motion is to get an extension of time so we can discuss it. Once we get that extension, then we can talk about who the witnesses are. We can get back to the issue about Mr. Vierson's apparent refusal to come here, and we can debate the merits and why he doesn't want to do that. If they are so interested in getting to the study and doing it,
James Maloney, you're an asshole.
then end the debate now, vote yes, and we can get back to the topic that we should be talking about, which is the anti-Semitism study.
If there is no extension, we are not going to be able to get witnesses. We have no time. Are you not listening? Do we have to show the calendar again? We're out of time. We need to extend in order to bring witnesses. Whether it's Mr. Vierson or not is a separate issue. We don't have any more time.
Absolutely, I'm listening, and I would throw that back to you, Madam Chair, too, and to the members of this committee. That is the whole. This has become in cloaked. What they've done is they've put forward a motion that is cloaked. What they're really looking for is the sponsor of the bill to testify. That it's blatant. It's on Twitter, and that's fine. But they're not acknowledging the survivors and victims, which they have done repeatedly in other committees. That is what I'm trying to convey to you. And it comes back to the anti-Semitism. It comes back to the rise in crime. It comes back to all of the same things over and over and over again. You have a prime minister who tells one group of MPs to say one thing, another group of MPs to say another thing. He himself goes and tells people one thing to one room and another thing to another room, all while public safety and crime runs rampant in this country. So I will wrap it up there, but I think it is important that folks at home recognize how much they don't want to speak about what their tried, true, and tested tactic is, which my colleague, Mr. Brock, has brought up multiple times. They just want to deflect and turn it because the economy is failing. Food bank usage is at the highest in history. Kids are using food banks at record numbers. Housing has doubled. Public safety is
Point
gone.
Of order.
Opioid addiction
now we're
is gone.
talking about things
And now
that aren't
Point
even
of order, Mr. Maloney.
vaguely relevant.
Their failed record. And I'm done,
Mr.
Madam
Maloney,
Chair.
thank you.
The issues that are relevant to this committee, not your ramblings.
Those are all relevant to the committee, Mr. Maloney. Every one of them. Yes, housing, because guess what happens when you don't have a house? You go commit crime because you're in poverty. That's how it works.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, Mr. Bruson. I think Ms.
How these crooked liberals always fall back to woke tactic bullshit.
Very important.
Is done. She said she's finished.
I
Yes.
think it's really important that we clarify that the unhoused are not necessarily people who commit crimes. Like, I do not think that we should speak that way about people who are unhoused.
Point of order,
think
Madam
we
Chair. For the
agree on
record, if that member would like to go watch Status of Women committee yesterday, where we're studying intimate partner violence, which directly impacts this, there is a direct correlation to people who are not making enough money, and under this Justin Trudeau government, they are using food banks at record numbers. They can't access housing,
Madam
and
Chair,
crime and
this
intimate
is
partner
so
violence.
This has absolutely nothing to do with what we are studying. Just a minute. Ms. Lantsman.
Madam Chair. I, like many other people, were sitting in my office wondering when this study on anti-Semitism would come forward, because it's supposed today that they were going to that this committee was going to look at the report. It's a study that I had sat in on for multiple meetings. It's a study that many Canadians came here to this committee to talk about, and since then. Since that study on anti-Semitism, we've seen gunshots into schools in this country. We've seen fire bombings into businesses. We've seen Stats Canada reports that say that 70% of the hate crimes in this country are targeted at less than 2% of the population. And right now, what people watching at home see is that...
Madame la Présidente, en quoi...
Madam Chair,
every Liberal that's in this is disgusting.
How is that tied to the motion we have on the table? We're asking for a 30-day extension. Not that Mr. Viersen necessarily be the first person to appear, but that we go through the list of witnesses, and so that we'll be able to study it.
Interrupt a conversation about the anti-Semitism study that you're supposed to be having in committee, calling relevance on it? That is worse than this government's inaction on anti-Semitism. Are you actually serious?
Come on now. This is not how we run our committee.
I've
Mr.
actually not
Hausfather?
only sat in the meetings, I've actually been sitting in on the report, which that member has not been doing. We're waiting.
Anthony Housesucker, whatever his name is. He's a big-nosed doofus with nothing to say. He sold out his own people a couple of times.
To do that report. We're all here to do that report. It's you guys that are filibustering and stopping us from dealing with the anti-Semitism report. You should be ashamed.
Madam Chair, this is debate.
We'd have this report done.
You voted against his motion.
He has
You
no
voted
motion.
in favor of his motion to delay the report.
You're filibustering a discussion to have a study that is your own private.
Madam Chair, this is my speaking time.
Okay, let's get back to order. Let's be clear here. There was one motion that was put, which every member voted for. And then we moved on to a second motion to extend for 30 days to bring witnesses in. And all I hear is language and talk about other things that may or may not be relevant. So, Ms. Lantsman, the floor is to you, but I know you just came in, so it's 12:37 here in Ottawa. I know you haven't been here for the first hour and a half.
You can watch this online.
You
and
can.
That's
Yeah.
what I was doing in my office,
But-
and that's why I came here to speak to this, because I was expecting the committee to study an anti-Semitism report, just like everybody else who is watching this committee today, just like those witnesses that came here to testify, and just like the members opposite who are pretending that they want to actually, for once, take anti-Semitism seriously in this country. 70% of the hate crimes in this country.
Okay, Ms. Lantsman, that is out of order, and that is definitely not accurate. I am the chair. You will have to respect me or leave, number one.
A waste of time and blood and skin. Old bag. I don't know what her issue is, but she certainly shouldn't be a chair of an important committee like this one.
Two, I have been here. I have listened since May, when all the witnesses have come on both studies. I have taken it in, all the emotions that have come from the witnesses, from staff, from members, and I'm still standing here. So I deserve the respect as the chair. These are not easy studies, and we would like to conclude them. I agree with you, and I agree with all of you. So I am asking for you to all see a way to do that. If you would like to take a 5-minute break, I have no problem to do that if you think we can come to a conclusion.
Point of order.
Mr. Brock.
Madam Chair, I wholly respect your authority
Barry Brock is a man on fire.
with respect to this committee, but you have absolutely no standing and no privilege to exclude a member and ask them to leave. She is duly elected, and you do not possess the powers to force her to leave this committee.
Point well taken, thank you. But I also expect every member to respect the position of the chair.
And likewise, I ask the chair to exercise neutrality, as chairs are expected to do, notwithstanding your affiliation to the Liberal Party of Canada, and allow members latitude to get their point across without unnecessary interruptions.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Look, the suggestion that the chair has in any way been impartial at any point during today's meeting or any of these proceedings is factually incorrect, Mr. Brock. And I think that other members of this committee will agree with me on that point. So to bring partisan politics into an accusation against a chair like that is completely unfounded.
They're disgusting. Mark Maloney, you're full of it, man. Phony, baloney, jabroni. You're an idiot.
That's exactly
I was reminding her.
So listen, I appreciate that, Mr. Maloney. I really do, and I appreciate Mr. Brock, but he wasn't And if he was, it would be ridiculous based on how I act in this committee or any other committee. So let's move on. I'm okay with it now. Ms. Lantsman, I'll give you back the floor, but please try and be relevant.
I'm going to continue because I couldn't get a point out before you called irrelevance on me, Madam Chair. And I know that you may not like the facts of the matter, but that doesn't mean that you can censor a member and in any way ask a member of the House of Commons to leave a committee. I think that's out of line, and I'm going to put that on the record. All of that to say is that we were going to get to a study on anti-Semitism, where members of this committee heard from witnesses from across the country, and I'll make my point again because I was interrupted a number of times, and since that study, we have only seen this issue get worse in this country. So it is astounding to me that members of this committee who were part of that study, who purport to take this issue seriously, don't want to get to this study. So as such, and to prove that, first of all, I don't have to prove that the issue has gotten worse in this country because it has. All you have to do is look at the encampments on university campuses, the shootings in cities, the violence in the streets. But since the committee doesn't want to get there, I have a motion to prove to everybody at home that this committee is blocking the study of the anti-Semitism.
We have a motion already on the table.
And I have a motion, and I'm allowed to put a motion down, Madam Chair.
Wait now, just give me a minute. Confer, just give me a minute. You cannot put a motion on the floor if we have a motion already.
Oh. I will then ask for unanimous consent to move that the committee proceed to the consideration of the draft report on anti-Semitism and additional measures that could be taken to address the valid fears that are being expressed by Canada's Jewish community, and ones that have been expressed by Canada's Jewish community since that. So I'll ask for unanimous consent to move to this motion to show everybody at home that this party is not serious about this issue, that this government hasn't taken this issue seriously.
So, I'm going to suspend for a few minutes to get clarification as to whether you're even allowed to do that. So suspend a few minutes.
So we'll wrap up the video right there, guys. Very frustrating to see the Liberal playbook being used, all their dirty tactics. They don't want answers. They want to delay every investigation so it doesn't come out how they've sabotaged purposefully our country. This isn't a mistake. They're not dumb. They're trying to put their agenda together, which is to screw over Canadians, ruin our futures. That is it. My name's Aaron. This is Canadian Looney. Like, subscribe, share, get notified, all those fun things. We're gonna get back home, cut up this video. I'm so fed up with these Liberals, guys. I can't keep it in anymore. They're sick to watch. Mark Maloney, or James Maloney, whatever his name is, phony jabroni Maloney, piece of shit, acts like he's hard and tough. Brock would tear you in two, you piece of... Oh, he's a waste. Anyways, guys, till the next video, we'll check you out next time. Thank you for watching this one. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.